How do you find the moment of maximum advantage? Welcome back to Leadership Word by Word. I'm Sue Tinish, and as a lover of words, I use each episode to deconstruct it to help you lead with more precision. Each episode, we go deeper because the phrases that live in our language carry more wisdom than we usually realize. Some phrases have been so overused, they've lost their edge, like the cliche in my earlier episode, think outside the box. Today's phrase is different. Today's phrase has stayed sharp for over 600 years. The phrase, strike while the iron is hot. This phrase has been part of the English language since the 1300s. Chaucer used it in a version of the Canterbury Tales. That was before the printing press was even invented. So let's find out why it's lasted and what it's actually telling us. To understand this phrase, we envision a blacksmith's forge. Here's a picture I have in my mind from old westerns. A blacksmith heats iron until it becomes soft enough to shape, say into a horseshoe. It's a process of heating, shaping, and cooling. And what strikes me about why we still use this phrase today, it captures a fundamental truth about metal. Heat creates malleability. In business, the heat is a temporary state of readiness. If you miss the window, the metal hardens, and no amount of effort will change its shape without starting the whole expensive process over again. The process in the phrase is exacting. It details something very specific and demanding, especially in the context of thinking of strategy. It says, act at the moment of maximum advantage, because that moment will not wait. In modern usage, strike while the iron is hot has become shorthand for be decisive, move fast, don't overthink. And those are okay mandates sometimes, but that's not what the blacksmith's proverb is saying. Because a blacksmith who simply moves fast without reading whether the iron is ready will shatter it. One who is simply decisive without checking the temperature will beat cold steel into an anvil and accomplish nothing. The strike is not the whole of the craft. The heat matters just as much. And the reading of the iron, the judgment that knows exactly when the metal has reached the right moment, that is the most demanding skill of all. In strategic terms, many organizations get this wrong in one of two ways. The first, mistaking urgency for readiness, moving fast without the internal clarity or prepared capabilities that would make the movement meaningful, striking everything that's hot, and then being perpetually surprised when the output doesn't match the effort. The second, and this is more expensive, mistaking deliberation for readiness. In this scenario, continuous, redundant deliberation or analysis paralysis is mistaken for readiness when in fact it's simply delayed action. Both errors come from the same misunderstanding. They treat readiness as something you can achieve in response to an opportunity. The strategic truth of this proverb is different. Readiness is something you build in anticipation of an opportunity. The blacksmith doesn't arrive at the forge hoping the iron happens to be at the right temperature. The blacksmith heats the iron deliberately. They've already decided what's being made, and they strike at the moment of maximum advantage because everything before that moment was arranged to make the strike possible. The phrase defines the difference between being a visionary and really just being a bystander. Here are three things you can do to be more visionary, to build the kind of readiness that means you're already at the forge when the iron is hot. Tip one, come to your strategy with pre-decisions. The most time-consuming part of most strategic decision isn't the analysis, it's the alignment, getting people to a shared view on what the organization stands for and what it would never trade away. When that clarity doesn't exist in advance, every opportunity requires it to be built from scratch. The iron cools during the conversation. Make it explicit now, before the opportunity arrives. What is your mission? What is your vision? Who are you? What are you not? What are your values? And then when the right moment comes, decision making will be easier. Tip 2, avoid cooled iron. A hidden decision is made when a leader fails to decide. No decision is in itself a decision. By waiting for the right moment, the iron is already cooling. The window of opportunity is closing. Inaction can be lethal. Strategic leaders create momentum. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions, effective leaders create the opportunity through action. Tip 3, know which iron is worth striking. Not every hot iron is worth the effort. Some opportunities are genuinely strategic. Others are warm enough to feel urgent and misaligned enough to derail if you pursue them. The discipline of strategic timing includes the discipline of discernment. The question is not just, is this urgent? It's, is this ours to pursue? That question, asked honestly before heat creates pressure, is what separates reactive organizations from agile organizations. As a coach, my role is to ask questions that allow my clients to think deeply and differently. Here's today's question. Is your organization building readiness or waiting for the moment to arrive and then scrambling to prepare? When has your organization moved at exactly the right moment, and what made that possible? Because there's a strategic window of opportunity coming. There always is. The market doesn't pause while you finish the review cycle. The competitor doesn't wait while you reach alignment. The iron will be hot. It always is somewhere. The question is whether you'll be standing at the forge. If this episode gave you something real, a framework, a question, something to think about related to timing and strategy, please like this video. It helps more leaders find this content. And if you know someone who's watched an opportunity close while the organization was just preparing, share this with them. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Leadership Word by Word. 2 new episodes every month, one phrase, real leadership ideas, and no filler. There's one more thing about the blacksmith that I keep coming back to. The smithy doesn't just react to hot iron. The smithy creates the conditions for the iron to be hot, controls the heat, reads the material, has already decided what's being made. That's not just a metaphor for timing. It's a metaphor for leadership. The most strategic thing you can do today is not wait for the opportunity. It's to prepare for it. See you next episode for Leadership Word by Word. Our next episode will address a word that's used by teenagers or somebody definitely younger than me. The word is meh. See you then.